Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Gestetner. On this show, we dive into the real stories behind the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how we pursue a more balanced and meaningful life along the way. This podcast is sponsored by Thanks, helping founders like us scale with reliable remote talent. Email founders@thanks.com, that's THANKZ.com, with the subject line of Founder's Life to receive preferred pricing. Now, I'm excited today to be joined by Lindsay Gorril. Lindsay, thanks for joining. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, great to be here, Leo. Thank you. Yeah, Lindsay Gorril. I'm born in Canada. I went to school in Canada to get my chartered accountancy and jumped out in my late 20s to be an entrepreneur in the mining industry, which is very, very rare in this world.
Yeah, you've had an unusual journey. Talk to us a little bit about the journey of what brought you to where you are today and what your current business is doing.
Sure. Yeah, so I think I was in my 20s going to get my chartered accountancy in Canada, which is like a CPA in the United States. Most of my clients being from Canada were in the mining industry, and actually I got in a car accident and I was in the hospital for a little bit and sitting and thinking about my life when I was around 28, and me and my buddy who worked at Ernst & Young also said, hey, we should go out on our own and start our own little company and maybe we can run these mining companies better. We started with $60,000 and acquired our first asset in my age now for all you people was in 1990, and realized that was the wrong product, wrong business to be in, and had to retool, go back, and almost went bankrupt, and looked at an asset in the States, in Idaho, and focused on that to acquire it. So basically, the first journey out as an entrepreneur was very difficult, very hard. And then, but obviously, the information we found and understood during that journey, we found another asset that we could actually go out and try to acquire. And that was really the stepping stone to my growth.
And the business that you've got now, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. So what was interesting is, I rolled through my first gold and garnet mine in Idaho. Then I went to India, one of the second companies in the world back in 94 to have a company in India, export 100% owned, titanium. That was pretty interesting, very difficult, a lot of stories there. Almost went bankrupt then also, and then rolled that out. And then into fluorspar in Canada. But during the whole journey, I always believed in gold and silver as a hedge to dollars, not just US dollars, but the world currency. And 13 years ago, I basically acquired a gold property in Nevada that I always wanted to put in production because my background was putting mines into production, which is very rare. Majority of people in the world, even in the mining industry, don't take a geological find and make it into a mine. And I've done that 3 times in my life already, and this will be my 4th. So again, I acquired the property 13 years ago thinking after the 2010 collapse, with all the debt, gold would go up. It didn't go up. Then during the COVID, I thought gold would go up there. It didn't go up. But now, obviously, with gold and silver prices today, obviously I'm a one-day success after 13 years. But I'm happy I kept the property. Now we're pushing for production on that property.
Excellent. It's exciting where it can go.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I think what people don't understand about mining, it's a really weird connotation. When I talk to people about mining, I think at the turn of the century where guys are breathing coal dust, you're underground, just dirt everywhere. And what they don't understand in today's world, the environmental regulation that we have to deal with, that the runoff of dirty water off my mine site is less than if you hose down your driveway in the winter, kind of thing. So I think it still has a bad name, mining, but I think how we do it today, and I'm a very responsible person. When you think about my first mine I bought, it was being shut down by the government for environmental damage. I got to deal with the government to go back in there for a 5-year permit, rebuilt 2 streams, won the #1 national award on stream restoration in 94 and 95, and then got a 30-year permit. Again, if you do it properly, it costs a little bit more to get going, but you put it into your operation and do it properly. So I think that's one of the things I want to get through here, probably with anybody who understands things about mining, is don't think about the turn of the century mining. This is way different, way more safe, way more environmentally friendly, etc.
That's exciting. I think I love something. I mean, that's something I truly don't understand. Like, there's lots of different things I've done over the years. Mining materials, that kind of world is definitely not a word I understand. But I love that. You're doing that. Certainly hot topics these days with all the requirements, especially for rare earth materials and things.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And it's like anything. You have to understand, the most important thing as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter what business you're in, right? First, the key is believe in yourself, because you got to have a lot of belief, because there's a lot of pitfalls that you go through that I've been through my life like this a few times, and I just say, look, I've got the right vision. I have to go back and reassess, maybe do it a different way, but I know I'm doing the right thing. And I think that's a big part of it. And then if you do your due diligence on what you're trying to do, for example, the gold mine in Nevada, I was off on the timing of gold and silver going up, but I knew based on my world travels, doing business, I've been doing business in India, China, Russia, Ukraine, all over Europe, all over Africa. In my years, I saw that every country had debt. Every country has debt, not just America. Every country has debt. And at some point in time, there has to be a hedge to a currency. I think that's why crypto became so big, right? Crypto is almost kind of a quasi-hedge, but not quite a full hedge. Where gold and silver is a hedge to paper currency. I think that now, as you see the skyrocket of prices, I'm not saying it's going to stay where it is, but I think there's a lot more people acquiring gold and silver just to have some support in the future if their paper currency collapses or something like that.
Makes sense. Every country has debt, and I still think America's got way too much, but that's a discussion for another time.
I think every country has too much debt, including America, for sure. But it won't, Leo, it's not stopping.
I agree. And our grandkids will still be repaying this debt. Our great-grandkids will still be repaying this debt. I agree 100%.
For sure. Every new government talks about debt. Not one of them has balanced the budget. I don't know, what, 30 years now or something? I don't know. Maybe longer than that.
It's very true. So tell us what family looks like for you.
Family? I think what's also really important is, I always made sure I traveled a lot. So I traveled 50% of my life in my first 20 years of my businesses. I had business overseas and that. And really, obviously, I've had my wife for 36 years. We were really family oriented. So when I got home from my trips, I focused on the family. We have 3 boys. And I think that's really important. So I coached them soccer, coached them hockey, always involved, always travel with them. And a lot of my friends played golf, and I never played golf because I said, if I go play golf, I'm away for a month or 3 weeks. I come home for 2 weeks. If I go play golf 3 or 4 times a week, well, I don't see my family again. So I think what's really important is I have a pretty tight family. Me and my 3 boys are all in their late 20s, 30s now, are close. And I think what's critical is, which I think you believe is, the family nucleus is really important to stay together and really support them to make sure we turn them into good adults, right? And I think athletics. So I exercised a ton with the kids, right? So I think that's important, right? To keep that energy. And it's really important because if you don't have the right person next to you, if I didn't have the right person next to me, a strong person next to me, which is my wife, Martine, I could never have done what I did. Impossible. Like impossible. Because this isn't 2025. This is the 90s. There's barely any internet. There's no video conferencing with the kids. It's on the telephone at $1 a minute.
That's funny.
So I think you have to take in your personal life. I really believe it's really important to spend time in the nucleus of the family, and be with them and try to help them and be somewhat of disciplinary in some respects too, even though you're gone, to help them grow into again young adults, right? Young good adults. And I still play hockey with my boys. So I play hockey with 2 of my sons now. I play hockey with my wife. So we all play hockey. So still doing that 3 or 4 times a week, and I love it. And now I'm helping to coach my grandkids. So it's even funner.
Love that. And when you say hockey, you're talking about the American version in an ice rink?
Ice hockey, yes.
Well, you could say the Canadian version.
We call it the Canadian version. It's like my son, my youngest son was born in America. When the Olympics is on, we're all picking for Canada.
Well, someone's got to.
Exactly. But you're right. I think it's important to keep that nucleus, because I think a lot of people who travel a lot lose that connection with their kids. And I think I didn't do a perfect job, but I think I did a pretty good job keeping that connection and helping them make decisions in their future life.
What do you like to do for fun?
Well, I think I read a lot. I play ice hockey as much as I can. If my body lets me play, I play 4 times a week, which is pretty tough sometimes on your body. And ride a lot of Peloton inside and a bike outside. And I travel a ton. I love to travel. So I'm kind of like you. I travel all over the world. So we pick places to go to. I've been all over the world myself, but my wife hasn't been to a lot of places. So we just go to places all over the world. Like this year, we're taking 3 trips this year. 1 in Europe, 1 in South America, and 1 in Asia. So just different places. I think it's fun.
Cool. And I would say, how do you live a balanced life? But it sounds like you've pretty much described that. We'll go on to the next thing I often like to ask is, What has been a pivotal moment in your life?
I think the pivotal moment would be the first acquisition when we had a major setback. I'm sitting in a 72 Bronco, basically crying on the side of the street outside of Sacramento because all the product I spent all my money on didn't work, and the clients and the customers didn't want my product. And then I located this mine in Idaho that had a really good product but a bad producer. They were doing things environmentally unsafe, etc. And just refocusing and driving myself to do that and winning on that. It was difficult it wasn't a quick, clear win, but basically just saying, look, I have the right idea. I can always go back to corporate life. I can always go back, but keeping that focus and saying, I can get it done. And once I did that, nothing was easy, but it gave me a lot of strength and a lot of confidence in myself that I can at least I'm able to analyze when you're such a low spot in your life. I'm able to analyze where do I want to go next, and it was successful. So I think that was I would say I was in my late 20s. That was probably a real pivotal time. And then going to India, started a business in India. What I didn't understand was the caste system. I don't understand what the caste system is. Obviously, levels. It's really sad. It's almost like how they see different people based on where they're from. And also, you got three religions dealing with Christians, Muslims, and Hindus. And that was eye-opener that I didn't understand that. I thought everybody would see things the same. You're in a company. We're all got the same goal. No. We don't have the same goal because there's prejudices and there's religion differences and that kind of stuff. And that took me a long time to basically take my company, and I'd say inside my company, it's called Transworld, and I'd say inside my walls of my plant, we are Transworld. We're nothing else. Everybody's got the same merit, same thing. Doesn't matter what caste, what religion, and that took me about a year, but I got it done. And that was a major struggle because the company just wouldn't run, even though the plant was built properly, it wouldn't run properly just because of the individual differences of the people that I clearly didn't understand, clearly. And I was there for 1 year. I was there probably 10 months myself in there, making sure it worked. Because if I didn't bring kind of my energy in, guys, this is we're one. If we all work together, we all get bonuses. And that was an amazing struggle. And I really opened my eye to understanding people's cultures. And you said, what do I like to do? I read about people's cultures. I read about all countries, what they do. And I look at, if I'm going to go somewhere, I read about it because I think it's important to understand who they are, what they do, how they act, and how you should act. And that was probably one of my most difficult mental issue with people. I don't know how you call it, but it was my psychological issue with people. That was so difficult, but I got through it. And man, it wore me. I think I aged like 20 years in one. I think, I didn't understand it at all. I thought I'd get in there, build a company, we'd all be working together as one group, and nope, that wasn't it.
There's nothing easy about being an entrepreneur. The journey has plenty of twists and turns.
Yeah,
I often say to young entrepreneurs, if you're just in it to make money, you'll probably make more money getting a job. Long term, hopefully you'll make more, but certainly in the short or medium term. So, what's one piece of advice you would give to a young entrepreneur?
I think if you first believe in yourself, for sure, you got to believe in yourself, but don't believe in yourself too much that only your idea is right? Because if you're building something, bring people around you that have better ideas than you and listen to their ideas. That's really important because as you strew through building your business, you don't always have the right idea. And then the second thing is if you make a mistake, acknowledge the mistake, go back, relook at it, move forward. Because you're going to make mistakes. And I think the most important thing is if you understand you made a mistake, analyze it right away. What is it? Come back, look at your plan, go for it a different way. I think those are the two biggest things. People around you, take their advice, and to really identify what your focus is. And if it doesn't go the right way, step back, go the other way. And I think that if you do those two things, and understand your business as much as you possibly can, and understand your competitor's business as much as you possibly can. Because even if you have a great idea, it might be the best idea in the world, but if someone has a better idea and you're in a competition with them, you may not win, right? So you really have to understand that whole thing.
Yeah, I think history's shown the best idea doesn't always win. So yeah, that's very true. And how can people get in touch with you?
So yeah, my gold company, www.stargoldcorp.com. go on their website. My information's on there. And it's a pretty exciting time for gold and silver. So I'm excited.
Well, thank you. It's been great to have a chance to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I really appreciate it.
And thanks for listening for today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and leave a review.